All right. Mr. Moore
Here.
and Mrs. Tara Ramsey Hunter.
Here.
I don't know why I like saying those three names that way. I just- Mrs. Stewart,
Here.
Mrs. Schreiber,
Here.
and Dr. Urso.
I'm here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, compliments? Nothing? All right, then Mr. Bertram.
Mrs. Ramsey Hunter,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart,
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber,
Yes.
Dr. Urso.
Yes. This time, I'd like to welcome Miss Cora Thompson to the mic to discuss encouragement for MTA families and students. I'll give that to you.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Hello.
Cora?
board and community at large. My name is Cora Thompson. As you heard, I'm the president of Middletown Teachers Association. On today, I'd just like to offer a bit of encouragement from MTA. This is the end of first quarter,
That's
winding
right.
down.
Next week.
Students, we want you to finish strong. And parents, we thank you for partnering in educating your children, partnering with teachers to make sure that your child's best educational needs are made. There are numerous educators who are working hard, above and beyond, to ensure that children of the Middletown community receive all that they need. And we thank you, educators, staff, support staff, all those who play a part in educating our littles and our not so littles. Special shout out to a few MTA members. Last month, Dr. Anidra Million over at Creekview had this beautiful Constitution Day activities with her students. Those are the kinds of learning things that children will remember forever. And that's a beautiful thing. I'd also like to give a shout out to Chris Pierce at Middletown High School and his senior
Went to the
students who
Sword.
are doing that Night of the Midi Dead at the Sword Opera House. They partner with local businesses, and there will be this special presentation of Night of the Living Dead. Lots more to go with that, but it's a beautiful thing, brings the community together, some great things happening. I also want to give a special shout out, and we did on the district website, to Lauren Hatfield,
Yep.
English teacher at the high school, and Megan Davidson, special education teacher at the high school. They partnered together and did this lovely book tasting and coffee shop combo. So the kids were getting to check out different genres of literature and sip on a little coffee, a little drink here and there. Something very appropriate, very fun. So it was a great way to utilize multiple departments, and the students had fun. It's a wonderful learning experience at all. There's some great things going on in Middletown, and I just want to encourage everyone, finish up this first quarter strong, and let's keep the momentum up. Thank you.
Thank you. Cora?
Thank you for that. It's always good to kind of hear what's going on in our
Yeah.
buildings. And so thank you, and congrats to Dr. Million and Mr. Pierce at the high school. That's nice of them to do those. Looks like we have a presentation this evening.
We
A presentation
do.
of the 24-25 Ohio Report Card data. I'll welcome Ms. Carrie Hensley, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction,
And Chris Thompson.
and Chris Thompson.
evening.
Welcome, Chris.
Yep.
And Carrie.
There you
Chris
go.
is going to tag team this with me. So good evening, board, and good evening, community. So we're going to present the 24-25 report card published by ODU, Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. It helped if I turned it on. Nope, you're good. I got it. So this is what you see on Ohio's website for report cards. So as you can see, Middletown has a 2-star rating. Last year we were at 2.5. The year before that we were at 2. The components you see underneath are the 6 different components that every school district in Ohio is rated under. We're going to take a deep dive into each component of the report card. So what you see here, this is the overall rating scale and the percentage of what each component takes up for the whole 5 stars for the report card. Chris, you want to go over that part real quick?
Sure. As you're looking at it, there is a new component, the college and career readiness piece. That's a new 12.5%. When coupled with the graduation that we will talk a little bit more about later, that's another 12.5%. So you can see right from the start that out of the 25% is purely solely at the high school. The other 4 components are shared with all the other schools within the district. But looking at those pieces, that is how the report card breaks out for us, for everybody.
The first component we're going to dig into is the achievement component. And just so we're all speaking the same language, achievement is that proficiency score, that scoring at grade level. What you see in front of you is trend data. So you see 3 years of what our achievement percentage looks like. So we've gone from, in 23, a 57.6 all the way up to a 58.8. So through the last 3 years, you will see that that trend is going up. You're also going to notice that there's a little division problem underneath, and I'll let Chris explain the math behind how you get your stars.
So for those of you that have been looking at report cards for a while, that denominator, that low number, used to always just be 120. That was the cap for in the achievement status. Post-COVID, with the star ratings, the state changed that number to averaging the top 2% of the not just high schools, but top 2% of the districts. They determine what that denominator becomes. And so that's why you see the 108.8s, the 109.3s, because it's an average of the top 2% of how they perform in the achievement area. So that's, even though we're going up, so is the top 2%, and so that's kind of where it seems like it's in flux a little bit.
So the next component that we're going to look at is progress. And if you say, well, there's an arrow each time as we go around. Progress in our terms means growth. So on the report card, you get achievement and you also get credit for growth. So this next section is going to be on growth. What you see here is a color scale where green is that average growth. And anytime you go into the blue gradients, it's above expected. And then when you go below, it's showing evidence of not meeting state expectations. So this is important because the next chart you're going to see is a series of rectangles that have colors. And we're going to talk about it, but this is what they mean. So green is that average growth. And if you get into the blues, that's above expected growth, and anything below that, yellow and red, is not meeting expected growth, okay? These charts, the one on the left is last year, the one on the right is this year. These are 3-year averages. So next year, a whole year will fall off and those colors will evolve. But these are 3-year averages. You're going to notice on the 2025, under math, so you see ELA, math, science, and then all tests. You see a lot of blue in that area, and that is a result of some very targeted math intervention that we've been doing with Hamilton County over the last few years. We do have some growth areas, obviously in 4th grade, so that shows us we've got to kind of nail down and see what happened in 4th grade. And 6th grade for ELA. Again, it's important to notice here that this is a 3-year average. This isn't last year's data. So there's always the 3rd year in arrear falls off every time you get another year on that. So it's a 3-year average.
Carrie, what is the blue again?
This is growth.
What color?
Light blue is, I'll take it, hold on.
Above.
That's okay. Light blue is significant evidence that the district exceeded that green, that average growth. And
Okay.
dark blue is that a large magnitude, significant evidence of a larger magnitude.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so we do have some of those darker blues.
And
Anything you wanna say,
Yeah,
Gary?
just as Kevin said, it is in 3 years. but they are not equally weighted. So the previous year is at 50%, and then the other two are at 25% each, so that's 100%.
So we see colored blocks, but what, to quantify, is it a year's growth, a year and a half growth? What would necessitate a light blue box or a dark blue box in terms of growth?
So
And
they have a formula that's set with the cohort within the grade level that the student is expected to receive a year's growth. Yeah, so it's based on a year's growth.
But it's not the same at every grade level.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So significantly above, that is where you would get the light blues based on the business rules formula that they have for that cohort to grow.
And the same would be true if they had a yellow or a red, that they would meet or not
They'd
meet
be
the,
below.
correct, okay.
And so this is showing that the sixth grade, because I can't see
You're
that
right.
extremely well, but so for the sixth grade under ELA, in the red is
Yes.
where we dropped.
Yes.
Are we-
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes. And we had a small pocket, the same thing happened in fourth grade math that
Okay,
caused that
okay.
drastic. Because we were yellow the year before, and then for fourth grade math.
Got you, okay.
And same
okay,
thing for sixth grade ELA.
Okay,
Last thing that I'll point out is that it's important to note that third grade is not measured in progress because we have to have 3 state tests in order for it to count towards progress. And so in order to meet the business formulas that they use with the state.
So the next one we're going to talk about is gap closing. What's important to know here is there are 8 categories that total up the 66 points. So if you go here, I know you're not going to see my little light, and 25, 17 out of 66 possible points. Those 66 possible points are spread out into 8 categories. Things like ELA achievement, ELA growth, same thing for math, chronic absenteeism, EL, but it's also, it's the subgroups that are within there. I mean, this is a very deep dive. This is a very high level view. Like you go into ELA and it's all the subgroups. Where should they be scoring? How did you score? So this is a pretty in-depth one, but to give you big picture, even though, and Chris will talk about what the points, how they grew, we are still growing. That's a 3-year positive trend that we are growing each year.
So yeah, just the growth happens within the subgroups. So in order to be measured in a particular subgroup, we have to have 15 or more students within that area. So that can change as students move in and that other groups or subgroups increase. That is why our out-ofs change. So if we had, 15 different ethnic groups that we don't already serve move in, then that would go up to a 67 next year because we will be measured in that point.
Chris, can you just explain what a subgroup is, please?
So the different ethnic groups, so it breaks it down into economically disadvantaged is one group. There is the white, black, non-Hispanic, Hispanics, Asians, Pacific Islanders. Those are the subgroups.
Special education.
Special education. Those are the subgroups that were measured within gap closing.
We are going to highlight one. So chronic absenteeism is one of those subgroups. And as you can see, generally you want to see percentages in general go up. This is one that you wanted to see go the other way. So for chronic absenteeism, in 23, we were at a 44.9. 2 years ago, 44.5, and we got that down to a 35.9, which means that we earned 5 points in that. When you go back here, out of 66, you could only earn 5 points. So we earned all the points you can earn under that subgroup. So that was a big highlight that we are really working on that chronic absenteeism rate.
So we only earn 12 points on all the other subcategories combined then?
Yes. So the next one is the early literacy. Before I get into some details, I'm going to let Chris explain to you how the early literacy score is combined, what it's made up of.
All right, the best analogy that I have for this is you picture it in 3 buckets. Bucket number 1 is the number of our or percent of our students that are promoted to 4th grade. That's bucket number 1. Bucket number 2 is we have students who are on reading improvement plans, and that's measured in the early literacy category. We have a screening test that we give all of our K through 3s, and then those students are measured from each fall. If they were on a RIMP the year prior, we want students to come off a RIMP in the fall because we wanted to show that the year's work that we did before mattered. Side note here, I have asked multiple times to make it a fall to spring assessment because while the student's still in school and the state never changes it, it's a fall to fall measure. Just to kind of throw that out there. Last bucket is proficiency on the actual 3rd grade OST test, as measured with a 50 sub-score in reading and a 700 or above overall scale score. So they have to meet both criterion to count in that area. So, and all of those are weighted, and they are not weighted equally. So if you want to know the weighted percents for promotion to 4th grade, or the weighted percent for proficiency, or the weighted percent for the RIMS, I'm happy to give you that if you want to go that in depth, but if not, they are not weighted equally. So that's important to note as well.
So the challenge in going from fall to fall is because of the summer slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that we lose the intervention time. Like, because we intervened with the RIMP, we did all
So
of
whatever-
the things,
Yeah.
and then we don't get to measure it in the spring.
Okay.
And we've done some things this year preemptively to put students in a better position for the fall taking of the MAP. So we pushed it as far back as we could. We had just kickoff units for teachers to do, so giving students a little bit more time. Because historically, when we give the fall MAP, it's usually given within the first week of school. So we changed those parameters this year.
And so they give it in the spring, early spring or late? When is
Right
it
after
given?
the OST.
It's usually in May,
Yeah.
So in
at the end
May.
of the year.
Yes,
And then you're looking at it again in the fall?
right.
Mhm.
And we
Yep.
compare fall to fall measure.
So something
Okay.
here to note is the 3rd grade proficiency. So in 23, we were at a 31.4. And then 24, we jumped to a 43.9. And you see that we went down to a 33.6. So, yep, it dipped. But some things you have to understand also about this is not apples to apples. So those students who scored the 43.9 were actually 4th graders on the 25 data. So that's a whole new set of 3rd graders. So what to know about those 3rd graders in 25, they actually went up from 2nd grade. So there's still an improvement, even though that doesn't show you because it's linear, it's just the grade level, not following the student. So those students in 3rd grade were a 32.2 in 2nd grade, up to the 33.6 here. The other thing to note is 3rd grade overall, year over year, starting in 22, we were at a 35.6. We went to a 38.5, a 39.1. We dipped down to a 33.7, and these are all spring scores. We are starting this year off, and I truly believe it's with all the work that we've been doing and then putting our students at a better advantage in the fall. We're starting off at a 40% already this fall. So we do anticipate to see that jump back up to 43 or higher, hopefully.
So attendance was improved, but early, and I know attendance measures K-12, and so some of the improvement in attendance could be not within the early literacy bracket of grades, but you would hope that there would be a correlation or a causation between improved attendance and better literacy scores, and
Yeah.
we just didn't realize that, it seems.
But we still did realize for that group of 3rd graders, they did grow from 2nd grade to 3rd grade. It's not a state test, it's the MAP. And something else to note is there is a high correlation between what MAP projects them to be and how they actually score on the OST. So we're pretty confident with the data that MAP gives us. So the next one is the graduation component. So I'm going to let Chris discuss a little bit about, there's a 4-year cohort and there's a 5-year cohort, and then how that gets us the overall percentage.
All right, this one's a kind of a tricky one to look at and understand, simply because graduation reporting always happens a year in
Arrears.
So when you're looking at the 25 report card for this, it is the 24 graduating class and the 23 graduating class, because we pick up the 5-year cohort as well. So graduation is split into 2 parts, 4-year graduation rate and 5-year graduation rate, but it's a year in arrears, so that's why it's the 24 group, that was your 4-year, and the 23 group was your 5-year. And again, those are not 50-50 rates. It's 60% weighted at your 4-year graduation rate and 40% weighted at your 5-year. So that's split in those 2 areas. So I know you guys are we just celebrated everybody that crossed the stage in May. It's like, that's the group we're looking at, but we're not looking at that group. We're looking at the group from the year prior, and then the year prior to that, that makes up that graduation component for the 25-year.
So the next one that we're going to talk about is the college career workforce and military readiness component. And this is actually a new indicator. What I will say before I let Chris talk a little bit about what goes into this score, there are 11 data points that are going into this score. 11 different data points. And this is the first year that you as any public school, that we are getting a star reporting for it. I'm going to let Chris talk about what makes that indicator up.
Yeah, so some of the things that make up the 11 that we can actually control, some of it is, some of the components are out of our control, but is the number of our students that earn an honors diploma, number of our students that have 12 or more college credits when they graduate, and it is cumulative. So if they start their freshman year going across to MUM and getting some of those credits and earn up 12 or more and graduate, we can get a point in the numerator for it. Military enlistment, students who have signed off on the DD4 forms and those pieces, and we have to track and report all of those pieces that make that up. Believe it or not, the 11 components are weighted equally, and so it's not an equal divisor, but they are weighted equally as they go into it. And for some of the components, we receive kind of dual credit for our students who are at Butler Tech and some of our other tech schools that meet those requirements. They count for both the tech school and for us. And you can see here 147 of that 4-year graduating cohort for the class of 25. I know class of 24 because it's in a year in arrears, is where we're at there. It's a lot of components with pieces that we can, focus on and look at.
This is just part of ODU's website that just shows how the points are awarded to stars, just for your information. We're going to wrap this up with some recognition where there are some very high points and we have some points that we have to work on. But some things that we have to make sure that we are keeping in perspective is 4 of our elementaries are at a 3. Amanda, Central, Creekview, and Mayfield. Our middle school is at a 3.5. And we have our first 4-star school in Miller Ridge. So that in total is 6 of our 9 buildings are a 3-star or higher. 6 of our 9. So at this point in the presentation, I would like to call up Principal Karen Gross for Miller Ridge.
And I would like to point out, since I've been here in 17 years, we've never had a school that earned, this is a 4 on a 5-point scale, or a B on the A through F scale, or an advanced, or an accelerated on the other scale. This is the very first time in 17 years.
What were the 3 stars in relative to what? Like what?
It's
where
1
they
through
were
5.
before. No, I mean where they were performing before, like did,
Last year?
Last year, we were at a 3.5.
and the other schools, so do you have
Middle
any?
school, I do have a chart that shows trend data for the last 3 years.
So three.
And I will.
Yep, middle school went up. Yep, others
So they all
maintained.
went up or maintained?
Maintained,
Okay.
yep.
So we have, I'm going to present Karen with this as you're a star. We are super proud of you, Middletown Central Office staff. So this is from us to every staff member at Miller Ridge Elementary. We are proud of all of our middies across Middletown, but we are super proud right now of the growth that Miller Ridge has shown. So
Yeah.
congratulations, we are super proud of you.
Thank you, and I just want to recognize the hard work of the teachers and staff at Miller Ridge, also the students and our family support. We are very excited to bring the first 4-star rating to Middletown City Schools. So
Pretty
thank you.
exciting. Wait a minute, so while she's up there, we have another award for Miller Ridge. Miller, let me come up here. This award's up here. This is pretty cool, this is very special. So Miller Ridge has earned a U.S. News Best Elementary School badge for their 2024 academic achievement. They're part of the top 40% of public elementary schools in the state of Ohio. Rankings are based on student performance in math and reading, adjusted for socioeconomic factors, highlighting schools that succeed in educating all students. So this is pretty huge.
It is.
We were
Thank you.
hoping to get a picture of Karen with the board.
Oh.
Do you think we could do that right there?
Really?
Smile, yeah. This is also our first one. So this is pretty big. Yep, so hats off to Miller Ridge, the staff, everyone behind all of the work.
Lots of hard work and a team.
So we're gonna take you on that.
Oh.
You gotta go around a long way.
I was hoping the podium mattered. I literally have my sandals and.
Okay, we're coming in here. Why don't you get right in the middle? Yeah. Oh, this side.
At the last school meeting.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. 2 cameras.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, took 3 down. Don't smile yet. I don't want it to wear out yet. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile.
There we go. Very good, thank you. Congratulations, Miller Ridge. And now you can hand that. Hold on, let me give you the box.
Oh, where am I going? You guys are
Oh, I have it, Debbie. Oh, okay.
ready for that. Goodness.
Yeah, sorry. I don't go anywhere.
Did you conclude, or?
Yeah, we did conclude.
Questions? Carrie's available for questions.
I just had a question regarding graduation. And to look longitudinal, over the last 10 years within the graduation rate, I do recall like 8, 9, 10 years ago, our graduation rate was in the low to mid 90%. Are there things, whether it be how they measure it at the state level or things locally, that could, I guess, explain the decline? Because it looks like that trend line, which is a troubling one, I think, as I look outward in regards to the number of students who travel through our district and then graduate. And I know that's a convoluted number because a student can transfer in and they count for our graduation rate where they might not have journeyed through our elementary, middle, and high school. Is there any data that shows the students who have started in Middletown, who have finished in Middletown, what that graduation rate might be in contrast to maybe what the state projects outward? Because again, that's
Right.
I mean, that's one of the numbers I sit here and, I mean, it's the thing. You go to school to graduate.
Graduate.
You can't control the students who move in, all the things, but students who have been here from day one all the way through. I do not have that data, but that's definitely something that's one of the areas we're diving in to really kind of get some research on that would be a good point to look at, for sure.
So something also to consider for graduation rate, it's When the students start with us in ninth grade, they're a cohort of students, and we're responsible for making sure that that cohort of students graduates, whether they leave us or whether they stay with us. So let's just take, so if a student leaves us and they're 18 years old and they haven't graduated, they don't have to, they do not have to go back to high school and finish high school. That's a ding for us. Students that, high rate of foster care students that may leave us and they never re-enroll in high school. That's a ding against us. But it's also a record-keeping piece, so it's not just if they have graduated, it's if we have tracked, if they've left us from Middletown, if they have graduated. So it's more than just if they started with us and they've graduated. It's the record-keeping piece.
So how's that tabulated? So they could transfer to a different district and not graduate from that district, but yet we're responsible, and we're also responsible for a student who transfers in and then graduates. And so is that number, like, how many people is that, and how, like you said, it's a record keeping thing. How is it to keep track of all the students who have left since ninth grade, much less all the students that have come into, is our graduating class, that number tabulated, 600, 700, 800 students across time? Or?
So, okay, so go back. So if we lose a student, it falls on us to find where they went, and then that student is coded to their new district. If we don't know where they went, or they don't re-enroll, it's held against us. If a
So
student.
it shows us not graduating.
Correct, it shows them as not graduating. If a student if we gain a student at Middletown High School, it is our responsibility and the other school's responsibility to make sure that student is coded where that student belongs. But at the end of the day, we're responsible for the ninth graders that came in, 4 years ago. And if we have coded each one of them appropriately to their new school, if they graduated, if they were 18 and dropped out. We also have an increase in our Latino population, which many of them return home, and they don't re-enroll in high school. That's a ding against us also. I mean, that's a whole lot, but we're in charge of that ninth grade group that comes in and making sure we keep our records clean on their graduation.
The ones that don't ding us are the ones that go to another district and we have confirmation of enrollment and that kind of thing.
And we transfer that code.
There are many cases of not being able to track down where the student went.
Yeah.
But if they re-enroll somewhere else, they then go on to their books.
Yeah.
My question again, and you said this, and I want to make sure I understood it correctly. That very first slide you put up, 25% of our rating depends on what we get out of the high school, right?
Yes.
It's really, I think,
A little bit.
20, it's a little bit
It's
more.
more than that, because the high
Yeah.
school also plays into the other 4 categories, but the high school solely owns 25% of the report card in graduation rate and the CCW
And the new one.
MR.
Those are 12.5 and 12.5, so that's 25. And like what he is saying, the other 4 categories, they play
They're
into
still-
achievement,
they're-
progress,
them,
all of
yeah.
that.
And so within the post-secondary readiness, that score was what, 38%? If we go back or right around that number I wrote down was 38. And again, is that a record-keeping thing also, to know where all of our students are going once they graduate, to understand? Because that, on the surface, it seems,
So that's something
because
that,
a lot of people stood up at graduation is what I'm thinking back to.
right.
You're
And a
thinking
lot of
those
people-
numbers.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'm looking across all the 300-plus students that were there. A vast majority, more than 38% of them stood up at some point, whether it be for military, workforce, college, and all those different things. And then I see 38% being scored on there. It doesn't connect to either they're just standing the stand, or there's something that's missing.
So just standing is only one small component of that whole star.
Not standing in terms of graduation and shaking hands, but
Standing up.
standing during when, hey, anybody who.
What you're doing, all the things that
Yes,
you're doing.
that's what I'm
So
referring to.
one thing that is probably at a disadvantage for a lot of inner city schools, those, high poverty schools, are, when they leave, we then have to send a survey post-graduation. So you try to make sure you have the most up-to-date email, phone number, all those things. If they don't reply, that's a ding. That is another piece to this puzzle, is we also, the tracking piece happens also after they've left.
But don't we have their diplomas? Because they received no diploma within, those are empty little folders. And so.
So it's a fall. So you don't start the survey until fall. I see what you're saying, like, answer our survey, you get your diploma.
Yeah, I mean, not leverage, but yeah, leverage, I guess, too. But.
But it,
We're just taking that.
No, get myself in trouble here. You said that.
The
Yeah.
state defines how we-
go ahead.
The
Yeah.
state defines how we can record certain things. So a student may stand up to go to the military, but they don't have their signed DD-4 form yet.
They didn't complete the
They didn't
process.
complete the
Yep.
process or those parts of it, and so they may fully intend to go, but if we don't have that form, we can't say that they are, check that box.
All right.
We may have students who went across the MUM and took some courses, but did they pass the course to get the credits in order to count towards the 12 that would go?
Did they get 12 credits?
Get 12
credits?
credits across. Not-
But isn't that within their transcripts? I mean, because I know in terms of like
It
CCP,
is.
it should show up on their high school transcripts, all the things that they've taken.
Yes, yes, it should.
It does, and then they have to have 12, or you don't get credit. There are lots of pieces to the pie on this one, yeah. Other questions?
Wow. And it was weighted at 12.5% of the report card.
And it
Yeah.
does seem like a lot of reporting, and so making sure, I guess, as a district, that we are reporting and are very accurate in our reporting, and so our performance indicates actually how we're performing and not just how we're reporting. Right?
Is there changes that will be implemented this coming year? I mean, so much of the district is focused on college and career, Passport Tomorrow, all those various elements, all the money invested into that. So not having that reported, is there plans to capture that differently so that we can actually score better in this measure?
Well, that's something that we're really digging into with this being so new, all the different, what can we do? So the answer, Todd, in short, is yes. We're still working on the plan, though. So we are definitely trying to be preemptive in that one now as well. So yes, it's huge.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The number that you want to look at for the star rating of a 2 is 59%. So if you take 59%, multiply it by the denominator of that 389, that's the number to hit to get 2 stars.
And where were we?
We were at
38.
Oh, that's right. That's a span.
It's a big span, but they put a little caveat, so if we can grow 15% from where we're at now, for next year's report card, it's an automatic 3 stars in that area. So it's a little, so wherever you end up in this first year, if you can get 15% or more, whether or not you get to that 59% or not, you can get a 3-star rating on next year's report card.
But keep in mind, then the
Then the
following
next
year,
year-
Then the
I mean,
next
then
year,
you've got to
yeah.
get to probably 70-something to keep that 3. So it's a numbers thing, but to your guys' point, I'm sorry, Chris.
No, you're fine. This one could easily roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I hear.
But this is a high priority. We are working with Dr. Hill at the high school and his team, digging in deep on what can we do, how can we affect change in that score.
Other questions?
Okay.
I do have one question. So, and I apologize, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I did look in particular at Rosa Parks, where we've tried for many, many years to raise those numbers at Rosa, but I noticed that in terms of proficiency and the number of students that were promoted to 4th grade, I was surprised by I was surprised by those numbers, as being the number, I think it was as high as like 70% that was promoted. And then proficiency was extremely low. Why were so many students then promoted, doing so poorly?
Yeah, well, it's how the state has put exemptions out. So to be promoted to 4th grade, you can hit that 700 or that 50
We're proficient.
for proficient. You can be retained, or your parent can sign an exemption.
So
Those are the state parameters.
So do
So what
parents
you
sign
see,
exemptions? Is
Mr.
that-
Moore,
Yeah.
are a very high number of parents signing to support that. And that comes from the state. Those are the state parameters.
Is there board policy that could be that can address that as a concern? Well, the state lays that out, but if the board decides that that isn't a good policy and that it's not helpful to Middletown City Schools to promote kids who clearly cannot read, is that a policy consideration that the board can look at?
We do have a policy on retention. I mean, it's pretty open-ended on retention, and at the end of the day, the parent has the ability.
I guess that's
Yeah,
my
to help,
question.
yeah,
is if they
be part of
decide
that decision.
regardless If
Yeah.
it's their decision whether or not that they would do that. The state allows that to happen? There's
Correct.
no-
Correct.
I think there is a fair amount of research about retention too.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
In terms of the,
Yes.
Yeah.
how retention has worked.
So that's another, technical exemption. If a student is in 3rd grade and has been retained prior to 3rd grade, they are
Can't
not
retain them
retained
again.
again. So that is another small part of that exemption process.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, consistently, we've had this issue in Middletown City Schools
Across the state.
about 20 years in Middletown. In particular, it's been going, and it's regardless of the growth that we make, which I'm proud of the growth that when we do make that growth, but we have to be honest about where we're at. And there is a problem when it comes to this pattern that exists. And I'm not saying retention is the answer, but I'm curious from an administrative standpoint and from a policy standpoint, looking at that question over 10 years or longer, as far back as Success by 6 and further back, what's the policy approach at this point? I mean, it seems to me that we have to be more creative and we're going to have to challenge ourselves in some way to kind of figure out what that link is. It's the same pattern year after year, and we've invested millions and millions of dollars, and early literacy continues to lag. So I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm saying I'm really concerned about that because it's, the lower those numbers, regardless of Miller Ridge, and we're proud of Miller Ridge, and we should be excited about that tonight, and I am. But there are areas of our community and areas of Middletown City Schools, this is a problem that has not gone away, and it's not going to go away, regardless if I'm on the board or anybody else is on this board. So for me, when I look at the report card data, the question is, what are we going to do about it moving forward? So we have a strategic plan right now. And I feel that we're beholden to that plan, and we still have consistent areas where we're underperforming. Should we be thinking differently about how far into that strategic plan that we continue to go? Or what will be the policy solutions that the administration and your team brings forward for us to say, here are some remedies that we would like to present that can move us in a different way? Is that staff? Is that a couple additional teachers? What's the solution? What's the remedy there? What's the research tell you? Because, and I'm not trying to rant, I'm just trying to say this problem it's one of the reasons that I always wanted to try to serve on the school board, frankly, is as long as 10 years. And I've looked at this consistently through time. And we're doing, the same pattern continues to exist. And what I'm saying is, how much longer is that going to exist? Are we just going to continue for another 10 years doing this, and we'll have repeated report card presentations, all very strong. You guys did a great job. But I'm just saying there is an underlying problem here. And I understand our poverty, I understand the context of those sorts of things, but it seems to me that we have to have a conversation about something else that's missing here. And that something else, I don't have that answer. But it just seems that we're consistently underperforming. So by the time kids get to the high school, they can't read. I mean, that's just the bottom line. They cannot read. So we cannot expect students to do well in science, and we can't expect students to do well in other subjects if they can't read the core context of the material that they're working through. And so much of that has to rest in early childhood literacy. So I'm just hoping that as we move forward in this conversation, that we start to think about ways that we might be able to present some different policy ideas. I don't know if that comes district-wide, what we have to do, but there's something in the delivery of our particular system that's failing. And I'm very passionate about that. I really wish that there was a way that we could address this question differently. So I will certainly be asking a lot more questions about that. But we cannot continue, despite all the best efforts. There's something in this delivery that's off. It's been off for a long time. And I just want to challenge us. We have to figure out something that will make some incremental change there. So that's all.
So I have some follow-up on that. So for the past 15 years, we change our reading instruction about every 3 years. If you look at we've gone from balanced literacy, we've had Fontes and Pinnell, we've had teachers are the designers of their lessons, back to now we are science of reading with everything that we have put in place. It takes longer than 3 years to see a change. It is a matter of, we're doing science of reading. We've been doing, this is a science of reading. We have Orton-Gillingham. We have intervention and enrichment. We have the RIMPs. It is a matter of continuing to move forward. You do the same thing, you get better. You look at the data, you get better. But each time we decide we're going to go and do something different, it sets us right back at the beginning. We have seen, let's just be honest. When you look at the report card, we see a 2. But behind that 2, there are so many areas where we have seen growth, but the overall number still shows a 2. 6 of our buildings have 3 and higher, but we're going to go back into early literacy. We have to stay the course. We built the core. Our whole motto has been we're going to go slow to go fast. We started with the core. We've worked on intervention. We now have Orton-Gillingham in K through, now we're hitting at 6. We have Orton-Gillingham. We have to stay the course. You guys have often talked about Steubenville. Steubenville has been doing the same thing for 20 years. You have to maintain your course. We've had many focus groups on this is where we are now after 3 full years. What do we still need to do? It was very obvious our teachers need more. They have the Cadillac of reading programs, but they need to learn how to use the Cadillac pieces to the reading program. Also, we're finding that our students don't read enough. We teach skills, but they're not reading enough. This is coming straight from our teachers. So now it falls on us for this reading program for us to get better to move forward. So it's like we cannot change the path. We just have to get better. At the path.
And I'm not trying to move us outside or ask for another approach to come in or one's better than the other. What I'm talking about is I'm talking really about implementation, and I'm also talking about if they do have the Cadillac reading program. I look at the PD schedule. I don't see that there's a Cadillac PD schedule attached to that program. So why is that the issue? So when I look at the PD, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I should be seeing why, and maybe I'm missing this, okay? I'll plead guilty if I am, but I'm saying there are many pieces there that I don't necessarily see that if I look at a fundamental problem in our district, I'm not necessarily seeing that consistently through time.
You will always see HMH reading PD, some type of PD for that. What that may look like is based on what the teachers need at the time. But you're right, it's now we are the teachers and the staff have learned the resource. Now it's time for fidelity. So that's why you don't want to move away. It's time to get better at what you're doing.
So I'm not going to push too much, but what is that moment of fidelity? Because I would think that now would have to be that moment of fidelity.
It is.
So,
it is time for fidelity.
We look at the context of education right now with choice being so strong, and lots of choices, not just voucher choices. But in that context, it's just that I want us to really absent just some of the goals that we've set this year, I'm hoping that we can have additional conversation about where that fidelity or what that plan looks like moving forward. Because I think that we're kind of at a crisis moment here. I mean, we can continue to talk about the growth that we make, and that's significant. I understand the compliance that we have to make, but we have to have a different conversation, I think, in terms of where we go with this, because it's, I've been serving on the board for 10 years, and it's, there's some elements here that I know that we're going to have a different conversation about that.
But like I was saying, Mr. Moore, in 10 years, we've had 3 different reading programs.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the reading programs. I'm
Reading,
talking about
the way we
how
teach
do we
reading.
accelerate the good things that we're doing, or what can we do to accentuate those things, supplement areas where we have elements for strength. Like I'm looking at the graduation, we got those 12 measures that we have. I mean, moving forward, is there a plan to score well in some of those areas? And if that's pointing in the wrong direction and we're not doing that well there, I mean, where can we make incremental gains that we're not making now, so that we can start, if we have students, how do we make some gains, accelerate some of the good things that we have? That's all I'm asking.
And just to kind of couple with that, you've raised up 6 of 9 of our
that's right.
schools. The other 3, are we investing resources into those schools at a different rate, a higher rate, to be able to, because I know those 3 schools, I know the populations, I know EL populations, I know they're expensive to educate kids that sometimes walk through our walls, walk through our doors. And with that, to expect our teachers to do miracles and not provide the resources. And so I would empower our treasurer to be in conversations. I would empower the principals in those spaces to argue for that, to make sure that they have everything they need to deliver on, which is obvious, some of the numbers. And there is a direct correlation between issues of poverty and how performance. It's no mistake Miller Ridge is probably the highest performing school within our district. And so within that, we need to fight specifically within the environment that we have and understand that certain schools are going to need additional resources, whether it be smaller class sizes. I know there's different data on that. I don't know what the answer is, much like Mr. Moore does, and it's not our job to figure out the answer, but it's definitely our job to encourage the people who it is their job to make sure that their attention, their fidelity is working in that space. And within professional development, I look at that and to understand, is the professional development we're doing, I know we're bringing in guest speakers, I know there's value to the people who are coming in, but I also understand as I watch and listen where our priorities absolutely need to be laser focused on too, so.
Okay.
It's never easy being the one who has to deliver the report card, so I want to say you guys did a good job tonight.
Yeah, definitely, both of you, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep, uh-huh.
Thank you.
All right, moving along, consent agenda, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
In a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Mr. Bertram, anything within the financials to highlight?
Well, there are no financials in this one.
No, I noticed
It'll be
this.
the second meeting of the month.
Gotcha.
So we have one contract and consent agenda this evening, and that is with Butler County ESC for 5 days of science curriculum support at $3,750.
All right, any questions, comments? All right, if not, then Mr. Bertram, whenever you are ready.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
And Mrs. Ramsey Hunt?
Yes.
All right. Within committee reports, Ms. Hauser, I recall last week, DLT is meeting here soon.
October, in a couple weeks, 20-something. Yep, on Thursday.
Beyond that,
Nope, that's it.
nothing. Well, that takes us all the way to the end. Board of Education reports and activity. Ms. Ramsey Hunter, anything to report this evening?
No.
All right, Mr. Moore, anything to report this evening?
Sure. I'll just say, again, thanks for the report card update. Like I said, it's never easy being the one that has to break the data. It's, and I do know that we have significant challenges, but I look forward, I really do. I look forward to having additional conversations so much work that we do put in, and I hope our community does realize the amount of work. Sometimes I think they don't understand fully the amount that goes in to what we do, but we have to own the numbers. It is what it is at this point. And I really do want to challenge my colleagues, challenge our staff. I really want us to be able to look at this question this year. Let's try to make some incremental gains. We want to see that report card stronger in the coming year for sure. So that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Stewart, anything tonight?
Thank you, Randy, for providing this additional information on the financial forecast. I think I was the one that asked for that, just to better understand the ramifications of all of it. I know it's complicated, so.
I've tried to get Marie to explain it, but she.
Yeah, she said, yeah, no, I'm gonna yield that to Randy when he gets back.
And of course, I'd just like to point out, it's my opinion, shared along with other colleagues, kind of conclusion. The only reason they'd want to lower the number of years for reporting opposed to increasing them. So it's speculation at best, but it does make sense to why they would want to see years 4 and 5 on there. Sometimes it looks political too.
Yep. Also, just want to ditto what Todd has said. We have to do better. So I acknowledge that, but I'd also like to acknowledge that over the last decade, a lot of work was done and has been done in the field of early education, and we have seen some improvements, especially in awareness alone, and that is the first step in creating some change. So I do want to acknowledge all the work and support that has went into early education over the last decade, and that we have seen some growth and changes. That's all I got.
Ms. Everett, anything?
Well, I just want to comment on, I think the people who invited us to the homecoming parade, that was, it's always
was
fun
fun.
to be included in that. I was never the queen or even a princess, but I was in a homecoming parade. People seem to have a good time. The kids seem to enjoy that a lot. I would like to also comment on, the report card. It's always disappointing to see the numbers. I always get kind of boosted up when I go to the district leadership team because the meetings, because I see the work that's going into this. I understand what Mrs. Hauser is saying about the changes. Just in my time being affiliated with Middletown schools and seeing what goes on, I know every time a superintendent came in, there was a new program, and everybody had to switch to that program. And then the superintendent would leave, and the next amazing person came in, and then there was a new program. And it does take a toll. And I don't know that that's the answer. If Steubenville does it, I mean, they must know something. I don't know if that's been a problem in some of the other schools, that are still achieving higher than us. It's 10 years ago, when I first came on board, that was a concern, that report card, and it's still a concern. And I see the work being done. I know the roadblocks that happen. I know people are working hard. I hope we can, I got to put it back in the hands of the kids. Work harder. Work harder. I mean, reading is important.
Yeah.
I want them to understand. I think the attendance thing shows them that work harder. I know that children have access to, I'll tell you what, just having a granddaughter who has access to the Dolly Parton Library, there is no excuse for children not to have access to beautiful books when they're little. I don't know where those books go or if they remember them, but they are treasures. They are great literature for children, and they can't read them themselves. They got to be read too. So I would encourage any parent. I know parents are busy and they have things to do, but If you can't read, find grandma, find Aunt Susie, or find a big brother or a big sister. But I think that love of reading and that impetus starts before they ever hit the school doors. And these kids have access to this. We have a beautiful library downtown. We don't even need to go to a library. We have online libraries now. And the gift of reading is something that parents have to give their children. We pick it up in school and move on with it, but it starts early. And I'm telling you, if you don't read those Dolly Parton books to your kids, you're missing the boat, because they are tremendous. And that's my soapbox for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're almost 25% into the year. I just want to express my appreciation, our appreciation to our teachers, our support staff, our administrators. It's a thankless job at times. We appreciate you, and so please do convey to the MTA, to the folks in the high school and elementary schools and middle school. We know and we do appreciate their work. And it's not something that my wife's a teacher, my parents are retired educators. It's not a 9 to 5. It might be 9 to 2:45 or 2:15. But you go home and you continue on. In the summer, you're still doing things. It's a heavy lift, and it's a huge responsibility, and so we thank you. I'd like to raise up our football team.
Yeah.
They've gotten off to a really nice start, 6-1. I don't want to, always careful not to say things here, and so I'm going to knock on the gavel, and hopefully that does the trick. They have some big games ahead. Wish them well. Nice homecoming win against Lakota East. To the band that was in the parade, always love hearing our musicians, whether it be band, jazz band, orchestra. We have some very talented young people, whether it be in athletics or in the arts. Walking up the hallway, you see all the artists, and it's always a joy to kind of see those things. To all of our fall athletes, make sure you thank your coaches. My dad's a retired coach. The time that goes into that is enormous. And so to our soccer, our golf coaches, our football coaches, all the adults that spend so much time cross country, they do such a wonderful job. Thank you for sharing your time with the players. It becomes a surrogate family because you spend more time with your teams than you do with your own family sometimes, and so thank you to them. I did get one request. The parade was wonderful, but one of the residents on Main Street said we need to be careful with the confetti. I guess they've been picking up confetti and candy.
I like candy too.
And so I don't know if there's an idea, whether it be with Hope Squad, Key Club, after the event. I know the candy part is fun, and I know we try to hand it out. If we can just maybe in the future be mindful of the aftermath, that there are people who live there, and that it sometimes causes a disruption in terms of keeping that part of our town as pretty as it always has been. So that's it. Mr. Bertram,
Randy?
anything
I'd just
tonight?
like to say thank you to Carrie and Chris. I think Chris got out of here because of the little ones. Every time you give that presentation, you present it differently, and I definitely learn more and more as we go here. And even though when we look at the stars, it's at the 50,000-foot level, appreciate you bringing it down to the 10,000-foot level. I know we could dive a lot deeper and still learn a whole lot more, but there are silver linings inside of that report card that are certainly encouraging, and that leads to Cora. I want to thank you for your words of encouragement to the kids and the parents and the teachers. I think that's very important to give them a pat on the back to let them know we appreciate them, you appreciate them, and quarter year in, I'm seeing positives, and I look forward to a great full year, another 3/4 of the year to go.
Great. So I'd also like to extend a thank you to Carrie and Chris for presenting the report card tonight. It really challenged us as an organization. Yes, we do know that too needs to increase. But behind that too, there are so many wonderful stories to tell about, groups of students that go from one grade to another and they perform higher. What you don't see on the report card is that they're performing higher. that they're progressing. Our teachers are working from K through 12. If you walk through our halls, you will see they are on point every day. Just the love of students and the value that they place on teaching our children to read and math and whatever subject they may teach. But there are, I always say the report card's like telling time. You can just see what the time is. You really don't understand how to build a watch. But there are many positive stories. The progress that you saw this evening, our children are growing at higher rates than they're expected to grow. The achievement piece, there's a lot of work to be done. We understand that. I think we're all pretty true. We recognize that what we're doing right now is the right thing. We just need to get better at the fidelity of it and keep moving forward. Yeah. So, once again, and thank you, Ms. Thompson, for bringing that up and being the cheerleader for our people. Yeah, we have some wonderful, wonderful people.
I heard homecoming went without incident. Is that?
And that also, yes, homecoming was a success.
A
Yes,
big
was a big
success.
success. Everyone had fun.
Really
Yep.
lots of nice pictures on Facebook if
Mhm.
anyone
They
has
are-
an opportunity to
There you
look.
go. Yeah. That's all I have.
And with that, is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
In a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. And Mr. Bertram?
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.